Good morning folks, and welcome back to the channel. And this video you might want to skip or you might find really interested, but I've had a lot of comments from people both on Instagram and YouTube to say, can you talk me through the tools I'm going to need, apart from yourself obviously, on me anyway, to build a camper van. I won't go through electrical stuff that much, because obviously electrical items and products are completely different, but just the tools to build and the type of basic tool sets you're going to need, or I've used anyway, to build this camper van and rebuild and modify and everything the other 4 that we've had. So yeah, let's go through it. Now it might look like there's just so many tools here, but let's go through the main tools, right, without kind of like, beating around the bush. A tape measure. Yes, we all know the joke, but we've been past that now. We don't need to leave comments about measure 3 times and cut once, because you know what? I've proven that, I'm all right with that. So, yes, tape measure, a good knife. These are little drill bits that allow you to elongate holes and things like that, so they're really good. Safety glasses. A rule, straight edge. One of these little tools as well for going around shapes, so you can cut out things. A square, so obviously you can make sure everything's squared off. Drill set, good drills, like universal ones, good for wood and metal. I've got a pocket hole cutter, but I've not used that yet. I'll probably get to that when I do the furniture, but they're great as well. Hole cutters as well for things like diesel heaters and pipe outlets through the floor. A good set of screwdrivers, different selections, with all the Torx bits and all that kind of stuff in there as well. And moving on to power tools, obviously a drill, definitely a drill. In fact, I've got 2 drills. There's another one there. So I'm using that one as a screwdriver and that one as a drill. Multi-tool, definitely get a multi-tool. I've used the multi-tool for the plastics, for a bit of woodwork, stuff like that. Even a bit of like cutting the metal framework out when I was cutting the windows out. So yeah, multi-tool, definitely worthwhile along with a drill. Circular saw, definitely good for cutting out all the wood strips. Use that one mostly for the plywood for the flooring to get a nice straight edge. A router, not used this one yet, but when I get to building the cupboards, definitely use the router. Jigsaw, definitely use a jigsaw as well. Obviously for cutting out the windows and the roof vents, all that kind of stuff, definitely a jigsaw. I'd say screwdriver or drill, whichever way you want to do it. Sander as well, definitely. This is an orbital sander, random orbital sander, where you can interchange the pads on the bottom. And I've used this for not only wood, but I've used it for the plastic panels as well, just to fettle in the edges. So yeah, definitely worth getting one of those as well. Obviously, you've seen me use this for cleaning up. It's great for starting fires as well. But yeah, absolutely love this little thing, brilliant. I do have a battery soldering iron as well, because why not? Obviously it's a gas-free van, so yeah, battery soldering iron. And this work lamp as well, just to be able to angle the light wherever you want it, up and down or whatever. That is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. I use that all the time, especially for the fact that obviously in the workshop, while we've got windows in the roof, they're not brilliant, and the lights aren't brilliant either. So inside the van, as you can see, it's pretty dark. So in having that has been an absolute lifesaver. Things will need adjusting. So that's a soft rubber hammer. Yeah, I don't know what's inside there, but it is pretty good. It doesn't damage anything. Oh, and obviously a couple of chargers as well for all your power tools. A couple of grips as well, really useful things just to hold things up while you're doing it. Or say for example, like the framework that's gone around the Max fan vent, I use these to hold them in place while the glue went off. Some trestles, they're pretty good as well. But what I did, I got this camping table, because we need a bit of a table anyway for the kitchen area. So I got this camping table, it's about 50 quid, stretches about 6 feet. And then actually I use Mandy's yoga mat to stretch over it, so that if anything I place on there, don't scratch the table and it won't slip either. And then I'd also suggest a good actual toolkit with screwdrivers, sockets, socket set, that kind of stuff, and spanners. Just because you will be doing things like, you know, taking the seat out, putting a swivel base or whatever, and you will need these type of tools for that. Let's go through fixings and things like that as well. So obviously spray glue, make sure you get the stuff that's good for high temperature as well, just so that you know if you do get to 40 degrees in summer, that the glue's not just going to dissolve, so you need the high temperature stuff. But screws, a good selection of wood screws, and then also tech screws as well, which are like the self-drilling ones. So they've got a little drill self-tapper, and they're great for metal. Then I've got rivets and a rivet gun, and all sorts of like different brackets and all that kind of stuff, and angle brackets. A soldering iron for all the wiring. Obviously different types of cable as well for 12 or 240. Heat shrink, as well as all the connections and crimp sets and everything like that as well. And then CBE sockets. Obviously you want to have some sort of professional finish on your van, so you can get these different types of sockets and fascias. So that's a 3-pin plug one, and there's USB ports, 12 volt sockets with USB as well, and then just light switches, general light switches as well, and you can get those in single, double, or even triple. So all that is obviously helping me with electrical side of things, and then fixing things to the van. And then if you're wondering about these are the fixings for the panels. So those little washers and caps help fix the panels on, and they use the tech screws as well. You know, obviously I've got tons of cables and all the other sort of things that I need, loads of different spares for each tool and different fitments for each tools. Different spanners and sockets. I've even got a trolley jack for getting under it and do things like that, and axle stands. Literally all sorts of different tools as well for the job. But I just thought I'd show you that, you know, with a handful of tools, including myself, you can get the job done. So a lot of people build a van without all those tools, without in a workshop and all that kind of stuff. And I appreciate that. But I also appreciate the fact that I have got those tools and I have got a workshop, which is allowing me to get a better finish than I would probably have achieved if I didn't have those tools and the workshop. So I'm very fortunate that I'm in this position where I can go and buy the tools that I need. And obviously I've got a workshop which is giving me the shelter in these winter months to produce the type of finish that I want to get to on my van. So like the CBE sockets and that kind of thing, a lot of people might not ever put those in, but I wanted to give it a finish, and I am also obviously concentrating on trying to do this lightweight build as well. So the CBE sockets and everything that surrounds are totally designed for campervans and motorhomes. So they're lightweight, very shallow at the back. Safety point of view as well, there's no wires hanging out the back or anything like that. They're all sort of self-contained, and they're still a very, very, very professional fit and finish. So it's that kind of stuff that's making me choose products and possibly choose tools as well, to make sure I'm not wasting my money, and to make sure it's the right tool for the right job and it's going to give me the right finish. So hopefully that's given you all a bit of an insight into, if you are building a van, what sort of tools that you will absolutely need. So there's plenty of little things, like I say, that I think are very dependent on how you want to build your van, and where you're building your van. And some of them you might find really useful, and some of them you might look around and going, well, I don't know why you've got that, John, that's a waste of money, or I wouldn't do that. And that's fine. This is all my personal experience of building and working on vans over the last, well, probably 5 years now or something like that. And I know how I can use a product or a tool in a certain way. And yeah, I'm just kind of sharing that with you, filling some gaps, I guess, when I just pick up a tool and do something, or say, right, I've done that now. I know there's been some people saying, we should explain a bit more what you did. I don't believe I've got the time. I need to build this van. I need to get out traveling again. This isn't a kind of like a workshop build over, you know, a year or 2 years or whatever to explain everything. I'm merely taking you along on a bit of a journey with me. So it's like you sort of stood over my shoulder watching rather than me explaining everything. Hopefully that makes sense anyway. I've tried to explain this before in another video, but I obviously need to do it more regularly because a lot more people are asking in the video, I wish you'd have explained this. But these are not build videos unless I find something that I think is quite unique, that I think, right, okay then, it's worth talking to you about that. Like the panels that we're putting in the van. I think it's worth talking to you about those because not a lot of people have actually seen these panels, so it's worth mentioning that. And there's just been a bit of a delay at the moment. I'll just sneak you into the van. For the next stage of putting all the panels in on this side of the van, involves putting the panels in over the bulkhead bit there. And in order to do that, I need the roof in. So there's a set procedure to do the next stage, which means the roof has to be in. So there's been a slight delay between us showing you the other panels we did the other day on the back doors and putting the roof in. But I might give you a little sneak, actually. A little sneak. There you go, that's enough. One side is done, and that's because it doesn't have to connect over to the bulkhead on that side. There's only a small connection bit. Anyway, that's enough for me. I shall catch you in the next video. Bye.